Welcome everybody. Happy Halloween, whether it's good morning, good afternoon. I stuck with my tried and true software sales guy costume, so hopefully that works for everybody. I want to thank you for taking a bit of time to take a look at Variant with us. Quick, our agenda for today, we're going to start out with a very quick introductions. I want to talk a little bit about some of the industry pressures that we're seeing and the reasons for us kind of bringing out Variant. We'll take a live look at demo itself, and we'll have the Q&As at the end. Obviously, we just confirmed the Q&A panel also works. So if there's anything that comes up, jot it in. If Ryan can deal with it on the fly, he will. Otherwise, we'll come and revisit them at the end. Quick introductions. As I said, my name is Don Boresky. I'm the industry account manager for configuration solutions with Solid CAD. Been in the Autodesk ecosystem, if you will, for the last 15 years or so, and prior to that, had kind of a pretty mixed technical and kind of sales background. My actually origins are actually in the computer science. I've got a Bachelor of Science in computer science, and really enjoying using that and applying that to configurations and the logic that goes in that to help people be more effective with their organization. We also have Ryan Small, who you heard, who's our Director of Software Development, been with Solid CAD for pushing 20 years now. And it's his team that develops all the add-ons and the customizations and things that we use, and that's what's led to our development of Variant. We also have Shannon Lundegren in the background, who can answer any questions if we need to. More of a technical consultant on our manufacturing side, so traditional kind of Inventor training, implementation, Vault, but also very strong in iLogic, and she's been kind of become one of our lead implementers for Variant. And the obligatory slide on Solid CAD. For those of you that don't know Solid CAD, we've been around for about 25 years. Autodesk Platinum partner, and arguably one of the largest resellers of Autodesk software, certainly in North America, if not worldwide. And to support those efforts, we have a broad range of actually services in multiple industries, but especially it's the manufacturing services that really help us understand and work with manufacturers and develop solutions for them and expand and refine our own solutions, such as Variant. And again, I don't talk to you about Solid CAD to brag about the size or anything like that, just to give you a comfort level that especially in these days where pretty much anybody can put a web app up, Variant is much more than the Don and Ryan show, if you will. Don, Ryan, and Shannon. There's a whole organization, solid organization, all across Canada that's been around for a long time to back up Variant. So let's take a look at some pressures that we're seeing. Hopefully you're feeling some of the same things, and these are really some of the pressures in the industry that drove us to introduce Variant. First, pressure to reduce cycle times. Turning around quotes fast and minimizing the effort to get them done helps to keep you competitive and drive sales. But we're finding that customers are becoming a lot better educated. They're demanding mass customization. They want more upfront deliverables like 3D models and drawings, and they want it now, or they're going to move to somebody else. And that can leave sales kind of at the mercy of engineering, waiting for details that they need to complete a proposal, which risks losing the sale. At the same time, engineering has a never-ending need for product evolution to stay ahead of the competition. But design teams get caught up in that routine, find copy design, pack and go, and edit to come up with that that standard product that you never actually build, because it always needs to be tweaked. And even while you've got those competing challenges, all the time you've got to be reducing error rates across the organization, because mistakes are costly. And whether that's sales quoting something that can't be built, or engineering missing a little detail on a standard design, or even just a mix-up in communication between the two, right? And unfortunately, current challenges around hiring and retaining good people, that just increases the chances of some of those rookie mistakes that can be pretty costly. In summary, organizations under constant pressure to do more with less, which is what brought us to introduce Variant. And Variant, hopefully you know, is an intuitive CPQ, configure price quote tool for manufacturers to enable non-technical users like the sales team and the dealer network, even end customers, to configure products on their own. And that really helps to address all the challenges that we just spoke of. But the concept of a configurator isn't new, right? There's lots of them out there, and I'm going to guess that everybody on this call has gone to a car maker's website and configured like the last car that they bought or the dream car that they're hopefully going to pick up in the future. The problem is configurators have historically been very complex and difficult to implement, expensive, makes them expensive, and kind of limits their application. And one of the main obstacles has been because historically configurators are disconnected from engineering systems. So that means that design rules, right, that are created in engineering need to be recreated in a whole separate system that supports sales. And that disconnect that's what opens up the door for errors, right? Whenever you got the same set of rules in two different places, pretty much guaranteed one of them is going to have a mistake in it. And the complexity around building those rules engines means configurator software can be pretty complex and expensive and difficult to implement. I heard a story actually just last weekend, well-known manufacturer, whose name will remain untold, but a well-known manufacturer of semi-trailers, working on a configurator implementation for the last several years and spending several millions of dollars, and it's still not done. And that's where we tried to make Variant different. It's different in that we bridge the gap between sales and engineering using Autodesk Forge, or as we now know it as Autodesk Platform Services. And forgive me, I'm probably going to jump back and forth between Forge and Platform Services through the rest of this session. I'm still getting used to the rebranding myself. But what Forge or Platform Services enables Variant to do is directly leverage your iLogic code that's in your Inventor models with a fully web-based application. So directly using that iLogic code means you got one source of truth for design rules, limiting that effort to recreate them in a system for sales, or at least one language that is in the organization, being iLogic, that can be used to create, whether it's the sales models or the engineering models. You get consistent design rules in both sales and engineering, and being web-based means it can be accessed by anyone, anywhere, on any device without any specialized hardware or networking. And all that makes Variant uniquely, makes the implementation of Variant uniquely straightforward, economical, and scalable. Now, I've talked about platform services a lot, so in case you're not aware of it, in a nutshell, Forge, or what's now Platform Services, is really Autodesk platform for developers to build solutions in the cloud. And it's what they're using themselves, and it's what they're allowing their partners to use. And it's not an exaggeration to say it really is the future of Autodesk. There's over 700 developers working on Autodesk's core platform services, and 1,000 developers using it every day to create their own web applications. Folks like SolidCAD, right? We're a Forge certified systems integrator, and our development team uses those same tools as Autodesk to create a variety of unique applications and integrations to extend our clients' uses of their systems. And between applications built by Autodesk, their customers and partners like us, there's over 3 billion API calls per month being run through Forge. And we can spend a lot of time on platform services on its own, but just suffice to say, it really is the future of Autodesk, something to pay attention to, and really the platform of Variant that is going to be there for a long time. And one last quick comment, just sort of a vision, if you will. We're not going to go into this in a lot of detail, but you'll see as we go through with Variant, it can effectively stand on its own, right? It doesn't need any other systems to be working with it. We take the Inventor models, we put them into Variant, that runs through Forge. We can also use Forge or Platform Services to take those configurations, once those customers are done with those, and put them into Vault, put them into Fusion 360 Manage or PLM to manage that workflow, send them off to your ERP, MRP system, because configuration environment means every order is going to be a little unique. With every order being a little unique, that brings in challenges of workflow and being able to reference back to the specifics of that order and make sure you keep them accurate. So if you want to integrate into those other solutions, Variant also provides the platform to do that. And that really takes care of kind of the introduction. I just want to, again, give you sort of set the stage, if you will, for the solution before we jump into the demo. Ryan, did any questions come in that I may have missed while I was running through?
Nope. We're all good, Don.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm just going to drag this over. So this is the Variant interface. I'm just going to move that camera over there, so I'm probably not looking off to the side. This is the Variant interface, and you'll see over on the left. So this is more of an administrator interface, typically be used by your internal people. Can also be extended to dealers or customers, but there's some other interfaces that are typically used for that I'll show you later as well if we have some time. But you'll see with Variant, we bring the models, Inventor models, directly in with the iLogic already established. So pretty much if you can build it in Inventor, you can bring it into Variant. And over on the left here, you can see some examples of the types of products that have been brought in. Some of these are our own examples that we've built. Some of these are our customer examples. I'm going to use the toolbox just as an example to work with. And so we see over on the left-hand side, these are the options that we built in the Inventor model that we can use to control the toolbox. In the middle, we've got the platform services or the Forge viewer that some of you may already be using. So we can navigate around, we can rotate, we can move the model around, zoom in, zoom out, and then the control boxes on the bottom. And again, if you're using the viewer already, same platform, same interface. Right? On the left-hand side, as I said, we've got the options that we brought in directly from Inventor, and we've defined in Inventor what the door options are, for instance, what the door types. So I'm going to go with a double flush door. Again, an example where I define everything in Inventor and it comes directly into Variant. I don't have to recreate those options in a whole different system. So I've got specific options I can pick. I've also got numbers. So in this case, I can do a box width, and I've defined a max width of 48 inches. So let's go with a 38-inch box. We'll go with a 12-inch height, and we'll do a 24-inch depth. We've got a couple latch types we can pick. So let's go with a stainless steel. We can put the hinges, we'll leave the hinges on the left. I think I said a double. Yep, we've got a double. So then now we've got some dependencies where we've got a left box content, right? Because I've got two doors, now I can decide what I want on the left. I can leave it empty if I want, or I can use drawers, or I can put in some shelves. So I'm going to put in some shelves. Now Variant is smart enough to know that if I'm asking for shelves, now I need to know what the height, quantity, and gap is of the shelves. So let's do so we'll leave a 6-inch shelf. I want 2 of those, and let's put a 6-inch gap between them. If I wanted to put anything on the right, I could do that as well. And then in this case, we've got an option. We don't necessarily have to have all our options part of the specific design. In this case, I can decide whether I want my resultant picture to have the doors open or closed. I'm just going to leave them closed, and we'll see if we can deal with that later. Once we've got our configuration picked, we hit generate model. Now what it's doing is reaching out to platform services where this Inventor model is already sitting. Platform services is effectively a headless version of Inventor that's running in the background. Right? It's taken the settings that I've sent up, it's built the model, and now it's sent back down. And so now I can see I've got the wider side. I can use my measuring tool, for instance. Click that right on. There we go. And let's come across, and we can see that's the 36 inches that we requested for the width. Right? We can see what some of those components are. We can do an explode. There we go. And now we can see how it's built with the hinges. We've split the two. We've got the two sides. We've got the divider in the middle, and there's our 2 shelves that we defined on the left-hand side. You can also look at the bill of material. So I can see the, let's expand that out. So I can see the components that have come from the model for that bill of material. Expand that out. Take this back. And lift this back up. And again, if we want to go back to where we were, we've got up on that top right, those standard buttons to move around, see the different perspectives. We could go back, we could make any number of modifications that we wanted to come up with new versions. Once we've got the design we want, we hit generate downloads. Now this is again going to take the settings, it's going to reach out to Design Automation and come up with the other components that we've asked. So if you can see down on the right hand side, you saw there was a DWG that it was creating, an SAT file. We're creating the actual another detailed BOM list, which we can get out to Excel, 2D drawing, and create PDFs, and it's all wrapped up and we are done. So now we can see where the specific specification that we've asked for. We can download, for instance, you want your customers to access a PDF. Take a quick look at the PDF here. So you can see it's kind of a standard drawing. Again, pulls it directly out of Inventor. Whatever you want to make available, you set up as a view in Inventor. It'll pull that out through Design Automation. So you're not having to recreate designs and drawings in a whole separate configuration solution. And then we can also, at this point, request a quotation. Okay? Variant actually has an option. We can set it up to create an actual quote. If you want to extend the quote to the customer, build your pricing rules into your iLogic. It can generate an actual quote, or we submit an RFQ. Email then goes to your sales team that sees what the configuration the customer wants and can reach out with that customer, confirm the quote, and get the order done. And likewise, the 2D DWG, 3D DWG, depending on the permissions you allowed. There's other formats, like you can download the actual resultant Inventor model. So we can now pick up that model, pull it directly into Inventor, and do some other tweaks, right? For instance, I mean, this customer, this might be the exact option they want, but maybe they want some specific stenciling or something on it. So it fits really well. Variant's a great fit where you kind of got that 80-20 rule where, 80-90% is a standard configuration, but it needs a little bit of customization or tweaking. Well, the engineering team, rather than having to recreate that from scratch, they take the Inventor model that's generated out of Variant, pull that into Inventor, make the changes they need to make, and then go from there. That's kind of the really the user interface, what the end user would typically experience. Again, regardless of the or the multiple products, this is just an example using a toolbox because it's I think pretty much everybody in manufacturing can relate to having a toolbox, but number of different products and solutions that we can build in. If there's no other questions, I'm just going to jump in here a little bit as well. Show you a little bit of the back end. That's right, a little bit of dry throat today.
Hey, Don, just while you're taking a drink, I'll maybe just add a couple quick comments.
Please.
So just when Don was showing there the button for requesting a quotation that brings up the form, I believe you canceled out of the form, but obviously had Don have completed it there, it would send a notification to basically the Variant admin, letting them know that there's an action item. And the second thing is that Variant has two modes, an RFQ mode and an order mode. So you're obviously seeing the demo in RFQ mode, so it doesn't provide direct access to the quote. But if administratively you have turned on order mode, then instead of doing request for quotation, there'd actually be a button to view the quote. So we're trying to just handle, two different customer scenarios. One where you want to kind of force an engagement with the customer to give them the quote. The other being that you're going to provide them the quote, so we handle both. So sorry, Don. I hope that didn't, jump ahead of anything, but I just thought it'd be something.
Nope, no, that was perfect. I thought I'd mentioned it, but it must have snuck through. So all good. So actually, this as an example, right? Here's here's an example. I did a quote earlier. This just shows just shut that off. Here's the quote that would come to your sales administrator, specking out what the the details are that they're looking for, right? They can also now go into, if we go into the asset manager and we go to the order/RFQs, these are all of the, let me just sort this by date. So you can see here, this was an this was a request that I did earlier in the day, right? I can delete it if I want, or I can hit the download, and that will then download the, there we go. Now I can download the zip file that has the actual resultant Inventor model of that configuration that I did earlier in the day. And again, if we had the in quote mode, I'll just do a quick, that's an example. If I go to settings, and here's the option right here. We've got some background settings for colors and logos and things like that. So within the RFQ mode, if I shut that off, customers will now have the option to generate a quote, which you can create the format of, or we can go to RFQ mode. Okay. So just an example of kind of the ways we've tried to build some flexibility into Variant, to make it kind of that product. You don't have to build it from scratch, which is often a challenge, right? Organizations that don't have the resources maybe for a high-end, expensive, difficult to implement configurator aren't necessarily going to have the resources to develop something on their own as well. And that's really where we're trying to fit into a niche, if you will, with Variant. The other thing I want to show you quickly, if you've done any work with Forge or platform services, or if you're looking at working with platform services, one of the, frankly, I'll say challenges, or if you've had any experience with Configurator 360 as well in the past, one of the challenges with the platform services environment is that everything is effectively a batch. So you have to have all the criteria, all the parameters for your model defined and completely identified before sending that up to platform services to give you back the result. But sometimes the options that you pick aren't necessarily clear until you picked other options. And a good example was that the left and right contents, right? You don't want to ask for a shelf quantity unless you know that you're going to have shelves in the left or right side. And there's no easy way using the Autodesk Platform Services to define that in an interactive way. So that's what we've done as part of Variant, is kind of built that infrastructure to enable you to make those kind of easy identifications. So if I, for instance, go down, I'm going to go to my edit parameters section. And so here we've got, so there's a couple of key things where we've got, for door type is the parameter we're working with, the first one. Always on is a checkbox. So do you want to always ask that question, or is that dependent on something else? And in this case, the door type, because whether that's the double, full, double flush, flush door, full door, right? Or double, double, single, single, right? We always need to ask that question, right? Box width, we always need to ask the question of box width, but we can also say, maybe I don't want to allow them to have a 60-inch wide toolbox. So I can make a note to say max width 48, and I can have a value condition that says my input width needs to be less than 48. If it's more than 48, I'm going to get an error. I can fix that within Variant. That'll make sure that I'm only sending up valid parameters to up to platform services for those to be executed. Box height, same thing, always on. Depth, let's go down to there we go, box contents, right? So box content is not always on, right? Box content we display only if the box type is a full door or a flush door. In other words, it has to be a single door. If it's a single door, I want to know what the box contents are. If I go down to shelf height, right? Well, it's not always on. I only ask for the shelf height when I have shelves or drawers. In this case, in this model, it's the same height parameter that I use for both shelves and drawers. This is where you might be a little more creative or detailed and have separate heights for shelves, separate heights for drawers, and you would ask each of those parameters dependent on the content selection that you had. So this is where looking at something like Autodesk Platform Services, looking at building a configurator using platform services can be very effective if you've got the expertise in-house, but a lot of times, you don't see some of these nuances, some of these details that need to get taken care of in advance. You have to build an interface for that in advance before, or to make sure that you're sending valid configurations up to platform services to get back the results that you want to display. And that's what we've tried to do is build that in a way that's flexible and complete enough that regardless of what model, what type of product you have, what model you've created, we've created that environment that you can have those kind of specifications. That's kind of at a real high level what I wanted to show for Variant. That front end, some of the back end setups, some of the administrator functions, and those sorts of things. I'm going to pull this out of the way. We'll just do a quick summary again. What we're trying to do is get that process, reduce that sales cycle time, let your sales team or let your customers be self-serve, right? So that your engineering team can be independent and efficient. Keep your engineering team focused on product evolution rather than chasing sales, right? And sales guys complaining that they can't make sales because the engineering team can't get them stuff in time, and the engineering team's complaining, that sales just keeps bugging them. Not that we've ever had that happen here at Solid CAD. That's software is a whole different world, right, Ryan? But that's what we're trying to do is take away that friction, let organizations or let departments do what they're best at, so that overall the organization can keep error rates down and maximize the sales and organizational efficiencies. And that really wraps it up. A little over the half hour, but hopefully you got a quick summary of what Variant is, what we're trying to the industry challenges we're trying to address, and welcome any questions now, or if you like to set up a separate session to look at things a little more detailed, a little more specific to your organization, we'd welcome the opportunity to do that as well. Ryan, any other comments come in or questions?
No, not at this moment, Don.
Okay. We'll give a couple seconds for anybody that's shy. But other than that,
oh, sorry, I was just going to say, just to clarify, if you do have a question, you can put it into the chat window.
Chat or the Q&A. Yep.
Or yeah, sorry, the chat or the Q&A. Thank you, sir.
Or feel free to reach out. My email address is on the page. Phone number is on the page. Please feel free to reach out if there's anything further I can provide.